Well, good morning, everybody. It's Matthew White here. Today we're going to be doing an IQPro demonstration, and this is going to be pretty informative. I'm going to cover the program. I'm going to cover some of the membership site and how we make sure that our customers are fully trained before they go ahead and spend any money with us. How you can go ahead and ask questions is you can grab the question box or the chat box in the webinar software that should be sitting on the right hand side of your screen there. Just click on questions and then you can go ahead and type in there, and I will stop proceedings and answer those. Now, of course, throughout these early stages you probably won't have many questions per se, but then you can go ahead and ask the questions during the actual demonstration part of the program. So we're going pretty well at the moment. We're still averaging a touch over $1,000 a week, and why that's important to people is often they find themselves in a situation where they have I have customers who are semi-retired. I have customers who are working fly in, fly out, and they just want to develop a different level of income, a different source of income that is reliable, that is consistent, and it's something that they can switch on and switch off. This is not a it's not a franchise where if you don't follow the rules and wear the T-shirt and sing the company song, you're going to be sacked. It's certainly not something where if you don't open at exactly 6 a.m. every day and employ 3 staff members, that you're going to be removed from the franchise. This is actually a business where consistency does provide you with great returns, absolutely, no doubt about it. And I just finished up a webinar with some clients who, one of the chaps has owned the program for over since 1999. So what's that? 16 years. And so what he said is that his consistent running of the program has earned him well over $1 million during that time. And by the way, if you think that you'd like to speak with that person, with Chris, I'd be more than happy to put you in touch with him. We don't hide any testimonial that I provide you here or speak about. I can easily provide you with their details, because I want you to feel 100% comfortable before coming on board with our program. We've got an amazing program. We've been doing this since 1999, February 1999. We've gone through a number of versions of our versions of the program. And you can see Barry from Bathurst here is saying when he purchased the program approximately 15 years ago, what we have today is absolutely fantastic. I can guarantee you that there is no comparison between the old program and the new IQPro system. We undertook a rewrite of the IQPro last year, rewrite of the program just last year, and we've just seen people really take it to heart, really go well with it, and produce themselves some serious dollars. And one of the things we do on the back end, and I'll talk about this later, is provide further training opportunities. And for example, that chap I just spoke about, Chris, who's made really good money over the years. He's actually going to be holding a webinar next Thursday night for existing customers, only for existing customers, only for people who are fully trained, because he's then going to share some of his ideas that consistently make him $3,000 a week using very, very small bets. So that's a real treat for us, and I think we're charging something like $29, which is less than a good bottle of wine. So so I'm really looking forward to that. The next slide I want to show you is a relatively new customer, Malcolm from New Zealand, and Malcolm's level of comfort with the program has developed over the time to produce himself a pretty good strike rate. So what he says here is, I bought the TriLogic license 3 years ago. Now it's called IQPro, with a view to earning supplementary income. After the company restructured and solid training and learning and a business plan, and I'll talk about that in a moment, I now regularly get an 85% success rate on trades I've placed with the IQPro. I do percent return, exacta and Quinella. Sometimes I only invested $50. My return over March was $2,125. He spent 7 hours a week on average, and this is the sort of regular income he was seeking. So Malcolm is a business coach, and Malcolm does work with other businesses, and he develops his own business plan. And if when you come on board the program, that's one of the things I'd like to offer you is an example of his business plan, so you can go into business. This is something that if you take seriously, you'll make great money. It's not, as I said earlier, not something where you're going to get, if you take a month off, or your customers are going to be upset. Well, there are no customers. There is no selling. This is almost what people have called a perfect business, where you can switch it on, switch it off at your leisure. The amount of exposure you have is only the amount of money you actually want to trade with at that time. There's no great leverage when it comes to, like, for example, the stock market. And people who are trading the $50 a time over a course of a year can make $20,000 just from a couple of hours a week. And that's exactly what he was after. He's in New Zealand, by the way, as you can see in Hamilton, and that's Australian dollars. And because it's a hobby for him and it's a hobby for our customers, it's tax-free or tax-paid, which is really, really attractive when you consider that, you know, some people are making, you know, $5,000, $10,000 a month just using the program really consistently in their spare time, or in the time that they've allocated to it. Not spare time, but the time they've actually diarised and allocated to it. So they run the program, you know, Wednesday, Saturday, or whatever days they choose. They become really confident with it. So that's the great thing about our program. That's the necessity of a program like this, is throughout the years, you can actually have what one of our customers called their money tap. Now, I don't say that you just turn it on, money flies out of it. Absolutely not. You've got to work. But one of the things that that he said, this guy's his name was Roger in New Zealand, in Mount Maunganui, and Roger said to me that the reason he doesn't need to earn more than $20,000, $30,000 a year consistently, the only reason is because he doesn't need it. He's out there still still working, but he knows that when he's retired, as long as his right arm works and his brain works, he can make money. And that's a really empowering thing when you consider that the average pension in Australia and New Zealand is almost laughable at something like $15,000 or $18,000 a year. So that's why we've seen a real uptake in enthusiasm for our program. Now, there's 4 key elements that make a successful trader, and I can talk to those privately with each one of you. And I do have a document I can email out if you like. And they just talk about time, temperament, technology, and capital. So time, 10 to 15 hours a week that's booked in and diarised. Temperament, we don't really want gamblers. We don't necessarily want people who are going to, get all excited when they have $1,000 or $2,000 profit day, and they do happen. One happened last month. We had another one, a $1,900 profit day last month. But of course, it does even out. It does average out. And today I'm going to show you a day where we made $1,000, which is great. But I don't want you getting all excited and buying a bottle of champagne and throwing your hat in the air. This is actually about trading, because the converse, or the opposite to those days, is when you have a trading loss day, and they do happen. And anybody who's listening today should be aware that, of course, that's going to happen. But over time, it does even out. And we've been successful for the last 16 years. We've only had a couple of losing months in those entire 16 years. The way we've been able to do that is by following a financial strategy. So the temperament, we're not necessarily looking for gamblers, we're looking for traders. The technology side, need to be comfortable and use a computer. Well, clearly by being part of this webinar, you are. And of course, the last part is capital. Now, I'll talk about capital towards the end, but as everybody knows, the investment for the software is $19,750. So I can talk more about that towards the end if anybody's got any questions. And of course, you do need trading capital to also trade with. So without any further ado, let me just keep moving through. So the plan for today is a simple one. We're going to do an introduction, which I've done. We're going to show you a demonstration of the program, get a bit deeper, and then talk about the membership and how we actually ensure that everybody who buys the program doesn't leave our training area, leave our training without being fully trained. Okay. It is self-paced, and we do give you the opportunity to move through it at your own time, but we do have a trainer there waiting, willing and able to help you. He's helped, well, he's been with us for more than a decade, so he's helped quite a few hundred people over that time find their way with the program. So let's go ahead and have a look at the IQPro. So where is it? There it is. Okay. So here's the IQPro. Now, racing hasn't started yet today, so I'm going to show you what happened last Saturday. So let me just go ahead and frame this by showing you how we actually bring up a day of trading. So obviously, if I want to collect the data for today, I click on Live and Load Meetings. Obviously, I don't need to do it right now because racing hasn't started. History. Click on that. Here's all the data that I've collected over the last, well, since November. The program does come preloaded with a couple of months worth of data, so you can play with it. So each of these blue highlighted days are days that we've actually collected live data on. So if I bring up, for example, sometime in last month, the 18th, being Saturday the 18th, and it shows you all of the data. It brings it up in a new window. You can review it as it would be on that day. So I'll show you the day that I'd actually brought out, which is last Saturday, and we'll get into it. We'll go through it all. And remember, you can go ahead and jump in, ask any questions, and I'll answer them for you as we go through. So the first race of the day that we looked at here was in Kembla Grange. So all the races that are available on this day are listed here. So we've looked at racing from midday. It starts midday. That's Queensland time, and all the way down to what was the last race? Lots and lots of racing. We've also collected on Belmont, which is Western Australia. So all the way through to an evening race at 8:42 p.m. So you can see there's a vast amount of races available on any given Saturday, especially at this time of the year, and of course coming up through Spring Carnival in the next couple of months. This is a really great time to get into the program, get trained, so you can absolutely take massive advantage of the Spring Carnival that's coming up in November. So let me just go back to the top here, slide back up to the top. PR1 Kembla Grange. So the program presents the data like this. So we've got default selections. The first thing you see is, or first thing most people notice, is we don't actually put any horses, names, jockeys or trainers in the program. We actually don't use that as a factor of making a decision. People say, well, how do you bet on horses and not know the horse name? Well, you know what? We're trading. We're using the financial indicators that the market is presenting us, we're using that information to provide us with an absolute version of what what's going on. You know, I could say, hey, you should bet on Good Old Boy in the third race at the Gold Coast. That's great, but that's just my opinion. But if everybody thinks that, if there's a huge crescendo of money being placed on this horse just before the race is about to commence, if you see that money coming in, you know that it's not just me, who I might be, I might know nothing, but if enough market movement towards that horse is occurring, that's when you can actually make a decision based on numbers, not based on a tip or based on an idea or based on a whisper. Okay, so if we go ahead and have a look at this race, PR1 Kembla Grange. Now we order the horses from favourite to least favourite, once again, based on money, not on horses or jockeys or trainers. So at the top here, horse number 6 is the favourite, paying $2.90. If we look down the bottom here, horse number 3 is paying $27.10. So the favourite horse, being the one paying the least, which is the one with the most amount of money on it, that's got $2.90 on it. At the bottom here, $27.10. The next column over is the percentage of the prize pool that each horse is holding. So of all the money being bet on this race, so if we have a look, if we go down here and click on percent return, because that's going to show us the amount of money being bet for a win. So of the $19,000 being bet on this race, 19, see where my mouse is down here, $19,825 being bet on this race, 28.97% of it, almost a third of that money is being bet on horse number 6. So a third of the marketplace, if you imagine a third of the marketplace is doing one thing, well, that's showing us that there's a reasonable support for it. Then you add in the next horse down, which is 24%. So horse number 1 and horse number 6 cumulatively hold 53% of the prize pool. So this column here is the percentage of the prize pool that each horse is holding. The next column is the cumulative percentage prize pool. Adds up to 100, of course. So 28 plus 24 is 53. So 8 horses in the field, but more than 50% of the money being concentrated on horse numbers 1 and 6. That should tell us something, and it does. The next column over is what each horse is paying for a place. Now the next couple of columns here are all about the price movement. So of course, when a race is 2 hours before the race begins, the TAB put up a price that they think is representative of what they think the horse is valued at. Then the punters take over. The punters say, I'll put $10 on horse number 6 and $5 on horse number 1. So of course, horse number 6 becomes more favourite because more money's gone on it. Horse number 1 drops down a bit. And so over time, it's a self-selecting, a self-ordering process where the cream will rise to the top, the horses that are being less favoured will drop to the bottom, producing a group of horses from favourite to least favourite. So the WDIF, UDIF and WUP is showing us the price movement. So WDIF, win difference. So the win price is this column here, the win price. The win difference has gone negative 0.6. So that's 60 cents. It's gone down by 60 cents. And what that means is more money's going on it. This horse here, horse number 1, has gone up by 20 cents. That means, comparatively speaking, less money is going on horse number 1. UDIF, that's in the last minute mark. So if we just jump over these columns to this area here, you can see like a countdown, 9, 7, 6, 5, 4, 3, 2, 1. That's showing us the exact dollar amount on every horse every minute before the race commences. Okay? And so the reason I've got it selected here at 1 minute, and I've got those black bands there, is because that's the most current information that we're looking at when we're looking at the program live, or it's the most, it's what we call the bet point. This is the time in which we need to make a decision. Now, a lot of people will say, oh, well, how do you know the race is not going to run late or on time, or what's it going to do? Once again, maths program, not a horse racing program. I don't really care. I make my trades 1 minute before the advertised start time, and that's when I make them. And that's what that's what got me on track now to make over $53,000 this year. So far, I've made $33,000 using the program. And if the race does run late, well, you know what? We've already made our trade. We made our decision based on the data that's showing. If there's an unusual hiccup, then we might take that into consideration, and that's when further training comes in. But currently, I'm just showing you the basics, and right here, we make a decision at the 1 minute mark. All right, then let's go back here. So UDIF, that's showing us the updated difference in time. So the difference between 2 minute mark and the 1 minute mark. What's happened between the 2 minute mark and the 1 minute mark? A brand new $903 was placed on horse number 6. So that's not cumulative. So between the 3 minute mark and the 2 minute mark, a brand new $730. Then between the 2 minute mark and the 1 minute mark, and more, $903 more was placed on horse number 6, which actually pushed the price down by 20 cents. That made an impact, moved the price down, which means cumulatively across the board, that horse is becoming more favourite. The WUP column I'm going to skip over today because that's showing, well, I'll give you the brief introduction to it, and I can certainly talk to you further one-on-one. The WUP stands for W stands for win, U stands for update, and P stands for place. What we're looking for in this column is the highest percentage movement. Now, we don't use dollars, we use percentages in the WUP, because if horse number 3 goes down, more money goes on it, for example, and it moves by $2.70, which is 10%. Okay, moves by 10%, $2.70. Well, that's not as significant as, for example, horse number 5 moving by $2.70, because that would represent 50%. So as you get higher in the horses, the cash value becomes more significant. So what we're actually identifying is the amount of money being placed, comparatively speaking, to the win amount, and that just shows in this column here. And I'll teach you how to use that at a later webinar, but today, not important. I just wanted to introduce you to it broadly. The MG column is important. The MG is how we identify one horse versus the next. You know, horse number 6 might be a beautiful horse, bred in New Zealand, it's grey and all that sort of stuff. Horse number 1 might be a brown thing from Dubbo, and I don't know the difference between the 2 horses. I don't know the value of the 2 horses. The only thing I know is horse number 6 is paying $2.90 and horse number 1 is paying $3.40. What's the real difference there? Mathematically, there's a multiplier of 1.17. Excuse me, I just had to have a sip of water. So 1.17, or 17% difference. So one horse is compared to another, 17% difference. What I'm looking for is a difference of greater than 50%. And that's what these red markers here, or these red boxes show, where there's a 50% increase in win price. So between $2.90 and $3.40, there's a 17% difference. But between $3.40 and $5.50, there's a 62% increase, or a multiply. So if you take $3.40, get your calculator out, multiply by 1.62, you'll get $5.50. But I like to say 62%. So if we've got a 62% difference, that's significantly different between horse number 1 and horse number 5. Okay? I'll show you how to actually implement that as we go through the races. Now, the program automatically covers a certain number of horses for a first, second, and a third. And remember, if anybody's got any questions, open up the chat box or open up the question box and just hit me up. I'll answer those. And I can see a couple of questions there, and I'm answering them as I go for everybody. And I appreciate that you're saying that, oh yes, you've answered my question. Thanks very much. So keep asking them, and I'll see if I can weave your answer into my explanation. And if somebody in the audience thinks that I might be going a bit long on a certain subject, that's because I'm probably answering somebody's question and giving and wrapping a bit more information around it. Okay, so we've got these two horses covered for a first in blue, these horses covered for a second in orange, and these horses in green. Now, how does the program cover those horses was the question. Well, the program covers 50% of the cumulative prize pool for a first. Okay, those two horses, minimum 50%. Down here for a second place, for a 70%, minimum 70. 68.69 is close, but it's not 70%. So it needs to add to the next one to capture that. And then you can go down to 90%. So 50, 70, 90. If you remember 50, 70, 90, you'll be well on your way. Okay, so what we've got here is those two horses. Then we need to identify the horses that are grouped together. So back to your question, John, is how do we group them? You've got these two horses here to a 50% group down to here. Now, is it reasonable mathematically? Once again, I don't know the horse's name, jockey, or anything like that. Is it reasonable to say horse number 8 is way better than horse number 4? $8.40 to $12, 10% versus 7. What's the difference? 44%. It's close, but it's not 50%. So I need to go ahead and add that horse in. $12.10 to $13.20, 9%, need to add that in. Now, what I'm doing here is I'm adding extra horses into the group because there's no significant difference between the one and the one higher. What I'm looking at down here are the rules. Now, before we go any further, let me just discuss the rules. Now, I know we're spending a lot of time on this particular race, but once we set these rules in place, once we set understanding here, we can then simply watch this area down here. Anything goes red, eliminate it. Okay, and that's why we've got such a great following with our program. That's why people make money with us, is because yes, once you've developed a baseline, a foundation of understanding, all you really need to look for is the red marker here. And if they're all green, like these ones are, you look up here and you add horses in to get a select group. And if it all works, you press the bet button. That is it. That's as simple as as high level as you need to go. All right then. So these are still green. So field 8 to 16 horses, 8 to 14 horses. My mistake. 8 to 14 horses in the race. Less than 8, greater than 14. That goes red. No bet. Dollars on favourite. We want to see a favourite paying more than $1.80. So if you remember, horse number 6 was got $2.90 on it. Dollars on favourite there, $2.90. Needs to be greater than $1.80. Now there are other styles of trading with a program called Mega and Banker Trifecta. We can actually drop that below that $1.80 mark. And if you'd like a specific demonstration on that, just ask. And as you go through your training, you will be introduced to those ideas and you'll be completely fluent in all the ideas that go ahead to make this a successful business for you. Now, I won't have time, and I don't think everybody will have the patience today to spend a significant amount of time on all of those. Just the idea today is give you the broad brushstrokes, and then if you are interested to talk further with me, I'll be more than happy to go deeper with you. Pool, at least $5,000, the more the merrier. If there's less than $5,000, if somebody puts, say, for example, horse number 6 got $903 placed on it, if there's less than $5,000 on the race, a $903 investment or bet would significantly shift the prices. It's only moved it by 20 cents here, but it could move it by a lot more if it was only a very small prize pool. So therefore, we want to make sure that we've got enough money in there to actually be able to rely on a market. Remember I said we're relying on the collective hive or the collective understanding of what's going on in the race? Well, that's because we're actually going to go ahead and we want to make sure there's at least a reasonable size market out there to draw on. Next rule down is combos. Now, currently, if you have a look there, we've got 40 combinations. Excuse me, having a sip of water. Made up of those two horses multiplied by these, however many that is, 6 multiplied by these 6 equals 40 combinations. If I add more in, because I am adding more in, remember I need to add to the next red marker, I need to add him, and of course if I'm taking him for a second, I need to take him for a third. By the way, him is completely irrelevant. It could be a her, I don't know. And of course, that one's not covered. I need to cover that and that. Now you can see immediately these rules start going red. So we've gone combos. Our combos have gone over 60. Now we're at 84. So it makes this rule a no trade. The dollars on top combo. This is really interesting. So we've got 84 combinations. We're going to spend $400 to actually place the bet. How do we spread that money out? Now this is the killer part of our program. This is the part of our program that makes it worth the money that we ask and more, really. We can put a different dollar amount on every single combination depending on the risk and potential return of that trade. Okay, so let me just say that again. We got 84 bets here. Every single one of those has been individually calculated to ensure we get the best possible return, best possible bang for our buck. Okay, so what we've got here is $21 on 6, 1 and 5. Of course, 6, 1 and 5, remember, we're not horsey people, we're mathematicians. We want to cover, we know that the most likely trifecta to come is the top 3 horses in the correct order. That's the most likely to come in mathematically. All right, so what we want to do is put the most amount of money on it because it's going to pay the least. You know, the favorite always pays the least. That's the favorite combination. It's going to pay the least. We've got $21 on it. Now, the least favorite combination would be, of course, 1 for a first and 3 for a second and 7 for a third. So if we scroll all the way down here, we'll probably find that combo down the bottom here. 1, 3, 7. There it is down there. And it's only got $1 on it. Because if that comes in, it might pay $500 or $600 for every $1 invested. Whereas the favorite one comes in, and we might find ourselves, it might only pay $30 or $40, still producing us a very good return. So low dollar multiple values. Now that's what I was talking about there, with some of these horses only attracting $2 and $3. We don't want more than 1/3, 33%. We don't want more than 1/3 of our bets being $1, $2, or $3, because once again, if we've got a really long tail, let's say the trifecta only pays $100, we spent $400, remember, getting there. We win the race, great, but we actually lose money. And you know, we can all go home to our wives or husbands and say, hey, I won plenty of races today. Fantastic, but I'm down a lot of money. That's not really the point. The idea is not to have a winning feeling, it's actually to have money in the pocket at the end of the day. So the rule there wrapped around low dollars on top combos, we need at least $20 on that top combo. If there's no more horses to add in there, but if I go ahead and add this one in here, just for as an example, it sits over, like it drops under $20 and goes red. So all of this is dynamic. All of this moves instantly. As soon as you get another new live data feed, boom, straight in, reevaluates and tells you what you should and should not do. And by the way, if it's red, you don't bet. And maiden race. I like the program to tell me when there's a maiden race. A maiden race is when there is horses in the race. All of the horses in the race have never won a race before. Some people will say, oh, I don't like to bet on maiden races. That's up to you. I still find over a course of 12 months there's still to be profits available to me, so I trade on them because I'm a mathematician, not a horse guy. Some people who buy our program are more horsey and would prefer to have fewer trades and a higher strike rate. I would prefer just to have more money in the pocket. All right then, so that's the rules. Now all of the results are down in this section here. And the rules are there. All right, so let's move on to the next race, and we can start to really get through these races. I know I've really spent about 15 minutes dissecting the screen here for you, and you can, when I email this, you can re-listen to all the information I've given you. But now as we step through the races as we go, you'll really quickly identify, and all I want you to do is keep your eye on this red marker here. So just for your own acknowledgement, go ahead and just say to yourself, yes or no. Yes, this is a trade. No, I don't. You don't have to type it in. And by the way, I just see Rachel here with her hand up. Rachel, if you've got a question, do go ahead and type it into the question box or the chat box in the software, and I'll go ahead and try to answer that as I go through. I don't often open up the floor because people's microphones might not be connected, and sort of it stops the flow of the conversation for everybody. So, Rachel, if you do have a question, go ahead and pop it into the question box or the chat box there, please. Okay, so let's go ahead and move on to the next race. I'm just going to go on the next race here. And by the way, this is Saturday, the 1st of August, and if that was last Saturday. All right then, straight away, field of 7 horses, dollars of top combo, $2.20, no bet. So as soon as you saw that, boom, no bet. Move on. Boom. See how easy this is? Now, I know I've spent a lot of time on it, but everybody's maybe thinking, oh dear, there's a lot to take in. But when you realize that the program's doing 90% of the heavy lifting for you, okay? 90% of the heavy lifting is being done. These are red, no bet. Move on. First race in Warrnambool. Good Australian word, Warrnambool. No bet. 6 horses in the race. Never going to be a trade. So if you're sitting there looking at the program, started your Saturday, going to get ready, going to get into it, you go, hey, I've got something to do at 12:17. Next race is up at 12:20. Next race here. But I know if I look forward, if I'm on CR1, I know I'm not going to trade in this race. You go, right, what's my next opportunity? 3 minutes away? Oh, never going to bet on that one. Next run. That's at Brisbane. So between 12:17 and 12:33, you can set up, stretch your legs, crack your neck, do whatever, and give yourself the opportunity to walk away, refresh your brain, come back. Okay, so here's an interesting race, one of the ones that we spoke about earlier, which is called a mega trifecta. Let me go ahead and unlock these selections, and I really want to talk about this. This is really interesting. Remember I talked about 50, 70, 90. We want to cover cumulative percent, 50% of the prize pool for a first, 70% for a second, 90% for a third. This is one of those situations where we can actually significantly identify that the favourite really is a strong favourite and stand him out. And what do I mean to stand him out? Just select him for first place. Horse number 5 here, it's paying $1.70, which is 10 cents below our minimum for a regular trifecta. It's holding 49% of the prize pool. There's a huge gap here between the horse number 5 and horse number 4. So what you can do after going through your training, you would confidently remove that horse there and then add horses down covering greater than 80%. So the rule is covering greater than 80%, stopping the next red marker. And that's how you would frame your trade. Okay? Now this one actually didn't provide us much return, so if we have a look at the winner was horse 5, place came in 1 and 4, 5, 1 and 4, 5, 1, 4, very low paying trifecta. Lucky we had all of our checks and balances in place to make sure we at least got some money back. So we got an $86 return or $89.40 return. Profit, that is, that's profit. Now as far as IQPro is concerned, and as far as our company is concerned, that's very low. But if you consider a 20% return on investment, tax paid, that's pretty good. And I can see a couple of accountants on the line here today. If any of your customers came to you and said, you know what, I'd sort of like to get 40% return on my money tax-free, you'd probably be calling the men in white coats. So that's just want to really bring that point home, is we can actually still significantly make a lot of money with our program, even when we have a miss like that. That's what we consider a miss. Okay, move on to the next race. Okay, so all of these are green. Okay, looking good. What do we do? We need to add to the next red marker. Okay, well, where's the 50% there? Nowhere near 50%, so we can't stand 7 out. So I need to add to the next red marker. What happens? Keep your eye on this red, this area down here. By adding these horses in, boom, gone red. Now, when you've had experience with the program, you'll know straight away when a race looks like that, you know that if I had to add all the way down to here for a red marker, it's out. So you can move on. Okay, another race that could produce us a trading opportunity, and let's have a look at it. We've got these 2 horses covered for first place, and there's a grab. These 3 horses covered for a second. There's a red money mark there. Where's the next red money mark down here for third place? Well, there isn't one, so I need to add all of those 3 in, and that's a trade. Okay, so you can see that really obviously. Hopefully it's really obvious to everybody there. Can I just get you to go ahead and type in that you can see what I'm talking about there? Thanks, John. Thanks, Michael. Yeah, good. So I'm glad you guys can really see that, that we're actually getting it's really obvious when things like this occur. And cover there to there, and then of course no red markers filled to the bottom. We've only got 20, that's only generated 28 combinations, but produced us a $1,500 return. Okay, just let that sink in for a moment. That's $1,000 or $1,100 if you look over here in this area. That's $1,000 profit on the race. Tax paid, and you've been at work from 12:01 to 12:44. Okay, so that's the point I'm trying to make here. Is this is talking about leveraging your time. Now at this stage, most people who own our program, and this might seem a bit funny to some of the new people who have not heard this sort of thing before, is they would actually leave. They would go, you know what? I've made my money. I'm out. I'm walking away. Because this is a business based around giving yourself a lifestyle. Your lifestyle is probably not going to be based around you watching a computer program. This would actually be significantly wrapped around you making some money and then enjoying the lifestyle and then getting out there and doing whatever you want to do. All right, so let's move on to the next race. Just show a couple more examples of how this really reinforces, okay, 7 horses, and of course at 12:44 you've made $1,000. Next race up at Morphettville you're not going to trade on. Next race here is not for another 8 minutes, so move on to the next one. Pool, $3,000, no trade. Next race, Warrnambool, field of 6, you can skip him, so between 12:52 and 1 o'clock you don't need to be near your computer. Low dollar multiples is there. You know, so you can see here that all of these things are coming together to really reinforce the earnings and reinforce the training that we do. So look, we've been online now for about 40 minutes. I don't want to go too much longer. So hopefully you've got a pretty good understanding of what we're actually trying to achieve here. We're trying to take away the gambling. I had one salesperson one day say, we've de-gamblified the industry. I said, well, you know, that's a nice way of putting it, but let's still recognise that we've got a strike rate we play to. We're a maths-based business, and we, over the last, since 1999, been earning very, very consistent money, and that's the key to our success, is our consistency. There will be trading days where you have a loss. Look, I don't want anybody to finish this webinar going, oh my goodness, these guys are always profiting. No, on a day-to-day basis we might have a loss, but over time, in the course of a week or a month, you will be profitable if you follow the rules. Now, just about an hour ago, I was on a webinar with our customers. Now, we do every 2 weeks, we do a webinar with all of our customers. That's free to paying members, to members of our support community. And so we offer that as a service. Now, we've also got a webinar coming up on Thursday with one of our customers who's been convinced to share some of his ideas. Now, we've got quite a few customers who over the time, George and Malcolm and Merv and people like that, who over the years have created a lot of success for themselves, created an amazing lifestyle, and they actually take the floor every now and then and share their ideas, their findings, how they've done it. And so we bring that to our customers because we want to provide you and let you understand that what we do here is the basics really well. We do the you know, if you're a football fan, we run the ball up. we don't want to talk about. We've got the Bledisloe Low Cup on tonight, so we'll we'll move on. So I'm sure the Kiwis are saying going to weigh in any moment. Oh, yeah, here they go. So it's about doing the basics really, really well. That's what we do here. Then we open the floor up to our really successful customers that can make huge amounts of money with the program, and one of them has made over $300,000 in a year, in 1 year with that program. And I'm happy to put you in touch with that person if you like, simply because they've taken the basics and built on them. And that's what we try to facilitate here every week with our training. So let's move on. Go back to the slides. I just want to show you one or two things that we do here. And remember, if you've got any questions, you can just chime in. Yep, did the introduction. Oh, I did skip some of these slides. Okay, so results with the super basics. With the real basics, you can see how consistent it has been. About $1,000 a week. We had a $7,000 a month there. We had August is only 8 days old. We have $2,500 so far. So we're doing pretty well. And it's only going to get better once a person gets involved and takes the, shall we say, initiative to make successful. We had a customer, his name was Chamath. He bought the program, lives in Sydney. There's a chap in South Australia who's really successful with the program. And he said, oh, look, can I drop in? So he did. He got on a plane, went to South Australia, sat down with George, spent some time. I'm not saying everybody should do that, and if George had 300 people at his house every weekend, it might be a bit crowded. But George is a very giving person and more than happy to provide you all of his understandings on the telephone. So, as I said, we've got some amazing customers. All right, so that's so far this year doing $33,000 on target for about 52 grand. So we'll keep the next slide. So I did the demonstration. Okay, so what I wanted to talk about is the members section, the members area. Now we really spent a lot of time, effort, and money building this, making sure it's really successful for our customers. You come on board, you buy the program, and then you're hit with this. What do you do next? So what we've got here is help and support. So the first area here is help and support. Now, getting started. Obviously, when you first get the program, or you're coming back after a while away, you get started. You go in there, you click in that, and it has download links to download the program, latest training links, all that sort of stuff. Then we, of course, talk about training. Now, we've got 8 video lessons, and inside those lessons, there might be 1 or 2 videos. If I'm in lesson 2, you can see here that we've developed a structure. Not I guess a structure, an absolute structure. Training, trifecta training. Key objectives, resources, downloadable resources. You can print out, stick next to your desk. Get ready to learn. Watch this video here. Watch this video here. 27 minutes. Make it full screen. Peter has gone in deep to really have you understand not just the hows, because today I've introduced you to the hows. Look for the red money marker. If anything is red down the bottom, don't bet. That's the how stuff. What Peter does is go to the why. Really goes deep so you can understand why we're taking these actions, and then as you complete and finish your training, you can come out of that and say, now I can see where my personality might allow me to do a bit extra. And then, of course, if there's anything in particular, like that money gap, fill to the next red money gap I talked about. If there's anything there, you go, hey, I want to actually really go deeper on that particular aspect, because obviously we know that there's going to be 1 or 2 areas in each section, like for example trifecta in lesson 2, that we need to just pull apart a little bit more. Well, we've done that in that 4-minute 42 video there. Okay, so that's all there. Now when you go on that, you scroll on down, then there's a test that we actually do. So then we do tests, and then you can move on and go ahead and make yourself some educate yourself throughout the process, and then move on. With the pass mark is 100%. The reason this is not like school. In school, a pass mark might have been 70 or 60%, or if by rights 50%. But having a pass mark of 50% would be like teaching your son to ride a bike but he can't turn left. Well, he can sort of pretty much, he can go straight and go right. So that's, what's that, 70%? That's good enough. Well, it's not, because, well, if you can't turn left, it's going to come a cropper. So the pass mark here is 100% like real life. You've got to get it right. And the reason we do that is because when you come to your paper trading section, which is your trading with the program live, but not using real money, we want to make sure you're making the correct selections and confident, because this is a confidence game as well, and confident that you can go ahead and make some consistent money like the other successful traders, like the guys making, $1,000 a week, like us making $1,000 a week, or like Chris who makes $3,000 a week. Okay, so I just brought up this here. This is talking about our training and support. Peter, this came up actually about a week ago. Actually, last time we did one, actually. Hi, Matt. I enjoyed the webinar yesterday. The more time I spend attending these data sheet review webinar sessions, the more wins I get and the less losses. Yesterday, I got 2 trifecta wins. And the average trifecta win is about $400 profit. So, hey, by attending these free sessions we provide every second week, he's gone ahead and turned that into $800 cash. That you can go ahead and draw out and spend, because you don't have to pay GST or pay staff or wages, or do, in Australia we call it a BAS statement, or a business activity statement. That's what I don't know what you call it in New Zealand. But every quarter you've got to do a bit of accounting to keep on top of your business. Whereas this, money's in the bank, draw it out, stick it on your credit card, go to lunch. So one of the things, actually, here's something that we, George, which I've spoken about, one of his testimonials. He's been using the Trilogic software, which is the original version. Trilogic software since 2008. During this time, I've had very good financial return with trading. The results have some up and down at times, but I've managed to become very confident in the system so that I could trust in a steady return. I like the direction the new support and training company has taken with IQPro, and have been more involved in the past 2 years by joining the company as an unpaid director to help with assisting other members achieve similar results. That's the sort of company we're running here. It's actually built. We have 3 directors. I'm one of them, and we have 2 customers who are directors. The reason we have 2 customers as directors is because they can outvote me. Because this is about ensuring our customers are successful. Because that is the only measure of success. That is the only metric that me as a business I need to actually be looking at, is, are my members being successful? And that's why I've engaged 2 customers, asked them, invited them to be unpaid directors. So there's no financial return for them. They were just successful with the program. We went through a restructure, and they offered the most valuable feedback. And then I said, would you guys mind being part of this? So that's really what I wanted to share with you today. That's the IQPro. I'm really excited. We've got, I think, an amazing program. Some of the strategies that our customers have used, so hopefully you've got some of the ideas that we talked about in the promotional emails we did today. And if you do have any questions, I can see some of the questions coming up now, and and I'll answer those as we go. Yes, look, the money can be drawn out. Thanks, John. The money that is drawn out into a New Zealand account, it can be drawn into a New Zealand any account. So you just go online like a normal fund. So the money's held with the TAB until you're ready to draw your winnings out. Okay. Yeah, Joanne, look, I'll go ahead and Joanne's just asking, can she have another demonstration? Yes, I'll give you a call after this session to answer that as well. So look, looks like lots of people, yep, thank you. Lots of people saying thank you, and this has been really helpful. If there's no other questions, I'll wrap it up, and I'll leave it with you to come back to me. If you've got any questions or thoughts or comments, how we might be able to assist you getting started, I'll be all ears. I really want to make this work for you. And Rachel, yeah, no problems that you joined late. And what I'm doing here, everybody, is I'm actually recording this. I'll stick this up on YouTube and send you the link. So whatever you've missed, you can go ahead and grab. So hopefully that help. And actually, I am doing another one on Wednesday night. So Wednesday night, if you get your Wi-Fi fixed there, Rachel, I'll be more than happy to welcome you then as well. All right, yep, no problems at all, Jay, and thank you, John, and thank you, Theo, for coming today. All right, everybody, well, look, all the best. Thanks for being part of it, and if you've got any continuing questions, you're more than welcome. Have a great day. Bye for now.